What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. It is the 22nd day of July, and here we are sitting at about 65.7K, pulling back a little bit, exactly as expected, right? We were talking about the price moving back down, probably around, if not below 65K. Yesterday we were talking about that. We did say that we might move up a little bit higher toward like 67K, and we did all those things, right? Just below 67K. And we talked about the possibility too. We've gotten really frisky with this possibility now of not going above this high. Now down here, the idea was that we'd move up above this high and then find resistance somewhere around there. Above it, just below it, somewhere around this area. You know, more or less around this area here. But I did think for a good part of this down here that we would go above this high. However, after the last couple of days, I've really started to consider that this is where we're going to find resistance and we are going to move down. The reason why, again, I've started these videos off, I always like to give my kind of thesis theory summary of what my thoughts are for the midterm. And I don't mean the midterm as in the elections. I just mean like the not the short term, not the long term, but the midterm. You know, is that here the bear market started. Oh, that's not what I meant to do. Here the bear market began. This is where the bear market began. We dropped, and then when we consolidated, what do? We found a high right here, which was just below these lows here, right? We found resistance where we had prior support. We didn't go through it. We didn't find resistance up here, prior resistance or support up here. We didn't go through that consolidation phase here. No, we found resistance right below it there, right where this final drop was, okay? This is pertinent to what's going on right now. Then we moved we moved sideways. We had higher lows, higher highs, then we moved down. And then we did it again. We moved sideways. We had higher lows, higher highs. We were in this consolidation phase. Okay, it was a longer consolidation phase overall, but the same concept applies here. We found resistance, oh, not there. We found resistance where we found support before. We didn't go up and find resistance at prior levels of resistance in this area, or here. We didn't go up that high. We found resistance at prior support, bear market structure. Just like in a bull market, when you find support at prior resistance. You didn't find it at prior support, you found it at prior resistance. When you found support at prior resistance here, right? Not at prior support. It's the same concept. It's not always like this, but it's a good rule of thumb. Prior resistance becomes support, and the inverse of that as well. The support becomes prior resistance. Anyways, here we are with a phenomenal drop, and we're finding resistance here where we once found support. This is a consolidation range overall. It would make sense to me, and it does make sense to me, that we don't go higher. And if we do, we'll probably find resistance where we found resistance before. But we start doing stuff like this, it's completely possible that the bear market's over. We could go up to 74K and still see lower prices. Okay, going through this level where we found support before does not mean that the bear market's over. The bear market's officially over when we get above this high. Or if this is the next high and we crash down here, the bear market's officially over whenever we get above this high. You know, whatever the case may be. It might be this high still, because that's more of a macro pivotal moment there. But you get the point, right? To me, structurally speaking, if we are in a bear market, and I think we still are, it actually makes more sense that we find resistance here. The only difference is this time we're getting lower highs and lower lows, right? And that kind of correlates directly with what my expectations are for this bear market finale. I don't think that the bear market's going to go like this. You know, it's not going to be some kind of long-lived thing. I don't think that it's going to be like this, and we just drop right through the floor to like something below 40K. I mean, it could happen. But I think it'll be something kind of in between where, you know, sometime next month in August, we're below 55K. We're below 55K. Maybe we're even below 50K. We could go as low as 43K. You know, something in this area. It's a broad range. People hate it whenever you give a broad range, but it's like, it's what we got, man. I think 54 to 53K. Sorry, 54 to 53, 43K. Damn it. Is where we're going to go. And the reason why I like that range is predominantly because of Fibonacci levels, but also, down here, come on, you've got the shelf where you found support before at about 56K, so just above 55K there. And then at this wicking low, you've got support there at just below 50K. Prior resistance, prior support becomes support now. And then we zoom out, we look at this from a low to high, bear market low to bull market high. I'm going to take this high. I'm not going to take the fake out high, actually. But if I did, it just changes these numbers a little bit. That takes you right to the 382. And again, my expectation, if you've been following the channel for however long, even for like a month now, let alone since the beginning of the bear market, and maybe I wasn't bearish up here, actually. We accepted the bear market like right around here. That's when we accepted we were in a bear market, like just before we broke through these lows. But breaking through the lows validated that belief. Anyways, late to the bear market party, but we were bearish here when a lot of people were bullish, saying that the bull market's on, the bear market's over, that was the low. We were calling for lower lows. And even here still, we're calling for lower lows. A lot of people thought this was the low, the bear market's over, double bottom. They thought this is the low, bear market, double bottom, it's over. No, we've been firmly bearish the whole time, expecting that we'd consolidate in this area still, though, if I do say so. Yes, I was wrong in this range. I thought that we would move up. But I haven't been wrong about the macro heading for Bitcoin, guys, since late January. Yeah, like mid-late January. Anyways, let's see. Looking at this here, the 382, the idea has been that we would wick below the 382. That's been the idea. I got carried away talking about myself so much there. Since January, late January, the idea has been that we would go just below the 382. So something below 56K. That makes sense to me. That's what we've done the last two bear markets. Actually, 2 bear markets ago, we bounced right off of it. That's always possible. We could do that. I just think that it makes more sense that we go lower. There's wicks below it here. It's very common to wick below the 382 and find support there. We could, for the first time ever, from a macro low to a high, go down to the 0.5. That could happen as well. And that's why 43.8K is a possibility. And you can wick a little bit below there. So 43K, prior resistance back here becomes support. It makes sense. It makes sense. And then I think even if we throw like a fib here, let's just see from a low to a high. Yeah. I mean, you got your 1886 200 level down there. Bitcoin loves this area. Actually, it really does love this area. It likes the golden ratio more, and it likes the 2272 2618 more. But I personally don't think that we're going to go below this low. If we do, maybe 40 to 36K. Maybe it's something we can consider. But again, it doesn't make sense that we'd find support at prior support. Not to me. It makes sense that we'd find support at prior resistance. We're in a bear market, so. I would think, again, just lining this up, that golden ratio lines up perfectly with this low here. Something around, maybe even just below 50K. That's where I think the end of the bear market's going to be. This is going to be a short-term video, but I guess we're making this on the midterm. By the way, I expect this to happen around the time of the midterms. A little bit earlier, I guess. But it could go into that time frame. I mean, if this doesn't happen by August, September, October, maybe even November could be the bear market low. There's nothing that says we have to break out of this now. We can consolidate. We can consolidate for a while, and then before you know it, it's October. But what I do expect, or November, what I do expect is that when we have the bear market finish, it will be fast. The next movement that we see that's like this, not like this, not this cute shit, not like this, not that, no, like this. It doesn't have to be the same size. In fact, I don't think it will be bigger than this. I don't even know if it'll be bigger than this from the top down. It might just be an abrupt drop like this, and then that's it. Right? We look at that there, that's much smaller than this drop. It's actually about the same size as like this fast part here, but then the overall drop, it's smaller. Definitely smaller than this drop, and it's absolutely smaller than the first one as well. Yeah, that would be the smallest drop. We could see something like that, But again, maybe what we do is we come down, we're consolidating, and then we see that drop happen from a lower price. So then, if something like that happens from a lower price, again, we could go just below 50K. So we will know the end of the bear market, because effectively what I'm trying to say is that it's the next time that we see a significant shift down like that on a time basis, not necessarily on a price basis, a significant shift down on a time basis where we do see a good bit of price giving way in a very short amount of time, right? Like if this happened from high to low, if that happened in 3 days, that's the kind of shift we're talking about. And maybe a little bit bigger, but it might just be something like that too. The next time we see a big shift happen, and probably takes us below these lows, that'll be when we're looking for the end of the bear market. And it could happen where you get this big shift, you're finding support, and you still see a lower low afterwards. The bear market low might be there. I'll be calling for the bear market low to be here, but even if it's a little bit lower, whatever. F and A, man. Who cares? But this next area is what I think is going to provide us lows. From a low here to a high here, something in the realm, come on, of 55 to 49K seems the most likely. 43 to 45K at the lowest, okay? This whole area is our playground. I'm expecting that it happens within the next 40 days, personally. I've got nothing else for you. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. If you want the short-term stuff, we can do that a little bit. I mean, maybe we find support here. I don't know. You're starting to look bearish. You might come down. I'm actually going to call for it here, guys. I think we found a high, and Bitcoin's going to come down. It's Wednesday. So, yeah, that's kind of my call. That's what I'm sticking with. MACD's crossing red. I think we're going to come down from here. I don't think we're going to build from here anymore. I think, yeah, rejecting. We're at the overbought area, the RSI, where we have rejected before. Stochastic's coming down. MACD's been green for a while. We have the bearish divergence and all that stuff. Oh, wait, actually, we started building bullish momentum crossing through the zero. We crossed through the zero. We're building bullish momentum, but we're not seeing any kind of exuberant price. I don't know. Let's see how the day closes. There's still a chance, but you'd want this day to turn around and close green. You wouldn't want to come back down too much further if you want this price to continue. I'm calling for a local high here. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. Because if I am wrong, the good times can continue to roll. Shorts have taken over the longs over the last day. Over the last week, longs still remain dominant, and over the last 30 days, longs remain dominant as well. So there's a lot of feed to go through. I mean, taking us all the way back below 60K. There's billions and billions and billions of dollars, you guys. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Okay, take care. Bye-bye. What the heck, man? I thought I ended it. I swear I clicked stop, but we're still here. Bye-bye.